Hi folks, welcome to RJA Impact. Today we're going to be talking about the Hitler Diaries. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so you don't miss out on new content. Sometimes people want to believe things so badly that they believe despite all evidence to the contrary. When these people include editors of esteemed publications like Stern in Germany and the Sunday Times in the UK, what gets delivered today is known as fake news.
But they can make anything bad because they are the fake, disgusting news.
Apologies and red faces follow soon after. In this case, as we'll see, what followed were jail sentences, resignations, damaged reputations, and a significant increase in circulation for one publication in particular. Nearly 40 years ago, the Sunday Times, who believed the Hitler Diaries to be genuine, had to expose them as a hoax after publishing lengthy extracts. Some excuses given at the time for succumbing to the deception included: serious journalism is a high-risk enterprise, by the Sunday Times. Rupert Murdoch supposedly said, "We're in the entertainment business." Apparently, Murdoch had ordered the publication, overriding scepticism by historian Hugh Trevor-Roper, saying, "Fuck Roper, publish." At least 2 television series have been made about the affair. The Germans made a comedy called Stunk, and the British made a TV miniseries starring Alexei Sayle as the faker. If the substance wasn't so serious, the whole affair would be laughable. So what were these so-called Hitler Diaries? Where did they come from? How did they appear so long after Hitler's death? And who was involved? Konrad Kujau was an East German who started his forging career in the Communist East. Apparently he'd forged a recommendation for his own promotion while in the Young Communist League. However, in 1957 he fled the East and found his way to West Germany. After being convicted for some petty forging offences for things like luncheon vouchers, he moved up in the world and began to paint. He was able to pass off some of his paintings as being by Adolf Hitler and made a fair amount of money doing so. The beauty of this was that people were unlikely to create problems because they didn't want attention drawn to their Nazi memorabilia hobby. Kujau would often authenticate the paintings by penning a short note by Hitler. In an amateurish flourish, he would make the notes look old by soaking them in tea. You could say he wasn't very good at this. For example, here is an authenticated Hitler signature, and here is one faked by Kujau. However, people just wanted to believe, we guess, and so sales went on. And from here, in 1978, came the Hitler Diaries. Kujau would use modern paper, again soaked in tea, bound into an impressive cover. In one comic mistake, instead of using a Gothic AH for Adolf Hitler for the monogram on the cover, he'd used FH, presumably as the Gothic F looked somewhat similar to a Gothic A. As people wanted to see what they wanted to see, this wasn't noticed. He used various sources to lend credibility to the diary entries talking about real-time war events, but occasionally had to ad-lib. One entry read, "Have to go to the post office to send a few telegrams." He did manage to sell 1 or 2 of the diaries, and at the end of 1979 Stern magazine had caught wind of the diary's existence. Their reporter, who was sent to investigate, had, no joke, actually had an affair with Hermann Göring's daughter. Stern offered nearly 9 million marks for the diaries. There were now 61 volumes covering everything from 1932 to 1945, mainly because Kujau had been working hard with the writing and the tea staining. The explanation for how the diaries were discovered was relatively simple, but also, as these wartime myths often are, wrapped up in a bit of intrigue and mystery. In April 1945, it was said a plane carrying some of Hitler's belongings had crashed near Dresden. Humble local farmers were then supposed to have hidden the diaries in a hayloft. Then, a mysterious high-ranking East German officer had got hold of them. Now, it was claimed, he wanted to sell. Stern bought, and the Sunday Times gave Stern a down payment of $200,000 to secure British and Commonwealth publication rights. But of course, the newspaper wanted to do its own checks on the authenticity of the diaries. And for this, the Sunday Times turned to one of the greatest historians of his generation, Professor Hugh Trevor-Roper, author of The Last Days of Hitler and Hitler's Table Talk, now elevated to the title of Lord Dacre of Glanton. At first, Trevor-Roper declared the diaries as an archive of great historic importance. On the morning of Saturday the 23rd of April 1983, the Sunday Times sister paper, The Times, had run an article quoting Trevor-Roper as a teaser for the first instalment of the Hitler Diaries. By the next evening, more than 1 million copies of the Sunday Times with an 8-column world exclusive featuring the headline Hitler's Secret Diaries in letters 2 inches high were starting to come off the presses. The editor, Frank Giles, was enjoying a celebratory drink in the office with senior colleagues. They decided to call Trevor-Roper to share their delight and sound him out about the possibility of him doing a follow-up for next week's paper. What happened next has passed into Fleet Street legend. In his 1986 book, Selling Hitler, the author Robert Harris described what the other newspaper executives in the room heard when Giles rang Hugh Trevor-Roper. Well, naturally, Hugh, one has doubts. There are no certainties in this life, but these doubts aren't strong enough to make you do a complete 180-degree turn on that. Oh, I see. You are doing a 180-degree turn. Giles and the senior executives, it is said, tried to get Trevor-Roper to keep quiet about his doubts so that the next weekend they could have another world exclusive under the banner headline something like Top Historian Says Hitler Diaries Fake. Then they phoned Murdoch. The boss said, "Fuck Roper." The presses kept rolling, and on 24th of April, the Sunday Times sold like hotcakes. Things took a turn for the worse on Monday the 25th of April when Stern called a press conference in Hamburg to trumpet their publication. Trevor-Roper was there. He did not keep quiet. I regret that the normal method of historical verification has been sacrificed to the perhaps necessary requirements of a journalistic scoop, he said. The future Holocaust denier David Irving was also there too. He demanded to know how Hitler could have written the entries immediately following the 20th of July 1944 bomb plot, given that he'd been wounded in the arm. He actually denounced the diaries as forgeries and got no answer when he demanded to know whether the ink in the diaries had been tested. He was forcibly ejected by security, yelling, "Ink! Ink!" as he was dragged out. The press pack turned their attention from Stern to Irving. Allegedly, punches were thrown as they tried to get a view of Irving's ousting. The affair even attracted high-level political interest. German Chancellor Helmut Kohl was also expressing doubts about the authenticity of the diaries. Forensic tests were ordered, and on the 6th of May, results were in. The ink was modern and not of wartime vintage. The German government was informed and made an official announcement. The Hitler Diaries were fake. Kujow fled with his wife and mistress to Austria, bizarrely telling his wife that his mistress was his cleaner. After he returned to hand himself in, he made a confession that accused Heidemann of complicity. Heidemann was Stern's reporter, originally sent to investigate. The trial became a tedious slangy match between Heidemann and Kujow about who knew what. There was, however, more than this. For example, the moment when the prosecution showed the jury photos of Heidemann's beautiful Hamburg apartment. The prosecutor had no problem pointing out to the jury the Nazi-era beer mugs, military hats and swastika banner that was supposed to have adorned Hitler's opera box, but he had trouble identifying a rather voluminous item of clothing. "What is that?" he demanded of the defendant Heidemann. "Those are Idi Amin's underpants," replied Heidemann. "I hung them up there for laughs." Apparently no one disputed the authenticity of the former Uganda dictator's wife fronts. But 4 editors in 3 countries effectively lost their jobs to the Hitler Diaries affair. Frank Giles stepped down from the Sunday Times editor's chair. When it came to court, Kujau, charged with receiving $549,000 from Heidemann, claimed the journalist was a partner in the scam and milking Stern for money. Heidemann's version can be summed up in two statements. "I have never known a person who lies so much," talking about Kujau. In 1985, Heidemann and Kujau were both sentenced to 4 years and 8 months in jail. When Kujau was released after 3 years, he became a celebrity. He opened a gallery of forgeries in Stuttgart, although he did get fined $2,000 for doing a little driving license counterfeiting on the side. He then settled in Mallorca, and German tourists would seek him out to ask for demonstrations of the art of forgery. He died in 2000. The Guardian's obituary did warn that he might still be around somewhere, having pulled off his last great sting. Heidemann fared less well. In 2008 he was found, aged 76, living alone in a cramped Hamburg apartment on only $280 a month. The historian Trevor-Roper was also left badly damaged. For all his glorious academic achievements, it was the Hitler Diaries for which he was remembered. When he died in 2003, the headline on The Independent's obituary called him the Hitler Diaries historian. Rupert Murdoch, though, is still in the entertainment business. In respect of the Hitler Diaries, he has also been credited with the blithe statement, "Circulation went up and it stayed up." Stern returned to News International all the money it had paid for the British rights, and the Sunday Times retained 20,000 of the 60,000 new readers it acquired when it published its scoop. Mr. Murdoch lost an editor, but in monetary terms, this particular bit of fake news gained him at least 20,000 new readers. No doubt about this one. Hitler Diaries, clear fraud. If you've liked this video, then please subscribe and hit the notification button to get early access to premieres in this series, and so you don't miss out on any new content.